Alright, so I'm going to attempt to make some mac and cheese in my Crockpot multi-cooker. So basically what I did was in here, I started it up and I put it on saute, brown saute, and I started it, and this is just more or less going to help it heat up. But at the same time I want to melt my butter. So in here I have 2 tablespoons of butter and 2 cups of elbow macaroni, or you could use whatever kind of macaroni that you want. And to that, once the butter starts to melt a little bit, I have 4 cups of chicken broth here, which I'm going to add to the recipe. And then you can put garlic powder and all that stuff in there if you want. I'm going to probably put a little bit of parsley, some salt, and some pepper, and then I'll move on to the next step. Okay, so you can see it's starting to sizzle a little bit. I'm going to add my 4 cups of broth. I added my salt. I'm going to add some pepper. I added a little bit of garlic and some parsley. All that is in there. I added some pepper. I'm just going to give it a quick little stir. And I'm going to put my lid on, lock it, and then I'm going to press the rice risotto button, and I'm going to put it on for 7 minutes, and start it up. Actually, I want the temperature okay, well I guess it's low is the only button that you can use. So start, and I'm going to let it come up to pressure. And of course make sure that your steam valve is closed. Okay, so I just shut it off and I started it back, but I put it on the bean setting because I wanted it to cook on high, not low. So I put it on the beans, high heat for 7 minutes, and it's starting to do its thing. Okay, well this just switched to 6, but it was at 7 minutes. It's finally going to start cooking, and in the meantime, I shredded up about 2 cups of cheese. So whenever that comes out, I'm going to add between a half a cup and a cup of milk and my cheese, and I'm just going to season it if it needs to be seasoned, you know, with more salt or pepper or whatever, and I'll show you guys what it looks like. Okay, so I just checked the recipe, and it also called for a cup of mozzarella, which I happened to have, but I couldn't shred it. It was like slices, so I just broke that up into pieces. So there's 2 cups of marble cheese. You can use whatever cheese you want. I got a cup of mozzarella, and then it said a half a cup of grated Parmesan. I only have this like grated stuff, not grated, but fine stuff. So I'll add this cheese first, and if I need to add a little bit of this, I will add some of that. So it's almost done. It is at 2 minutes, and then I'm going to let it probably naturally release because I don't know how much liquid is in there that's going to be left. So I'll let it come down to pressure for about 10 minutes, and then I'll release the rest of the steam. Okay, so it just beeped to let me know that it's done. Now it's going to start counting upwards, and when it reaches 10, I will then turn around and do the rest of it with a quick release. Alright. And of course I thought I was recording and I was talking to myself, so I just went ahead and released whatever little bit of steam was left. I'm going to let that come down completely, and then I will open it and show you guys what it looks like. Alright. Ooh, still lots of steam. that's what it looks like inside. I'll give my noodles a stir. Now I'm going to add, shut this off, unplug it. Next I'm going to add my cheese. So I've got all this cheese. I'm going to go in and I'm going to put it in a little bit slower, but I'm going to have to put you guys down for a second. So there's the cheese. I'm just going to mix this around. Alright, so I followed the measurements to a T, and I find it's super, obviously, liquidy. So, either next time I will use more noodles or less broth. I did, however, taste it, and it's good. So what I think I'm going to do to try to maybe absorb some of this liquid is I'm going to put it on for another maybe 5 minutes and see if that will take some of that liquid out of there. I could have just boiled it on. Oh yeah, I gotta put my steamer valve down. So yeah, now I gotta wait for this to heat back up again. So a lesson learned. Obviously there's way too much broth. And I didn't even add the milk that it called for. So after this, I will see what it's like. Okay, so that is how it turned out. Now, a couple tips before you guys run out and make this recipe. It does taste good, but when I make noodles or mac and cheese, there's usually not that much liquid. I would not recommend putting it on for that extra 5 minutes, because as you can see, there's hunks of cheese that kind of burnt to the bottom. It still tastes good, but following the recipe, like I said, I would either put another cup maybe of macaroni, or a little bit less broth. Usually I like it when I make it on the stovetop. I'll just boil some milk, like boil the noodles in milk, and then add my cheese and all that stuff, and it usually turns out really good. So, like I said, it doesn't taste bad. It's not going to go to waste. I'm going to have some with my supper tonight. I'm just trying it out right now. It's kind of a fail, but I will make it again and just use different amounts of liquid and that, and maybe try, I don't know, cooking it in the milk, possibly. See how that works. So that is how my mac and cheese turned out. Alright, so I just